How's everybody doing tonight? This is Chopping It Up Hardcore with Hal Capone, Friday night special edition. Tonight I'm speaking with a very special guest and a good buddy of mine. I'm speaking with Ron from Gene Scene Creamer's record label. He also does a podcast called Must Listen with Ron and Matt. Just a great guy, and I can't wait to talk to him. I'm going to add him right now.
What's up, man?
What's going on?
How are you, buddy?
Good, how are you?
You know, just surviving the day. Long day at work. Went in early to pack Amazon bullshit. So, how are you, buddy?
Good. I took the day off, so yeah, I don't go back.
You're well rested.
Yeah, I am
prepared to just destroy me during this whole thing.
Not really. I think I've played basketball for like the past 3 days, and I'm like, my old bones can't handle it anymore. So I'm sore as hell tonight. So I'm trying to just take it easy, and after we talk, I'll probably watch some basketball and just relax. So yeah, nice. I'm tired.
I feel you, dude. I feel you. I tried going skateboarding like a couple days this week, but it's rained almost every day when I've gotten off work. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, has it started raining down there yet? I know.
Yeah, it hasn't stopped all day, dude. It's been nuts.
I know it's coming up now. It's.
I think you get it. I think you get it about 10 hours after I get it.
So I want to thank you for doing this. Last week I had a little audio trouble too, which was pissed me off. Sometimes that happens. It was out of my control. You know what I mean? I think whatever Derek was using on his end was just fucking my microphone up. So, hats off to him though for dealing with me, cutting in and out, because I know a couple of times he was just like, "What? What did you say?"
I'll just make up answers at this point.
Yeah, just make sure if I cut out, let me know, please.
So far so good. I haven't had any issues.
Sweet. So like I said, usually when I start out, I kind of know your background, that you didn't get into hardcore and
right
until you were late teens, early 20s. So I guess I'm gonna switch it up a little bit and ask what was the first 5 bands that just grabbed you back then in the hardcore vein of that genre in the beginning?
Yeah. So Charles Bronson was quick. That was one that really kind of opened a floodgate, because it was on the cusp of when you could steal music. So being honest, I was on Audio Galaxy till 4 a.m. because everything was at a fucking snail's pace. Yeah. So I'd get on my dial-up internet and stay up, downloading. But I found this dude on Audio Galaxy who had a folder with weirdo hardcore is what was in it. And so it had Charles Bronson, it had Infest, stuff like that. But Charles Bronson made a big impact. And then You and I was probably another one. Saturday's Cab Ride Home is one of my absolute favorite records. Tom Schlatter's been in so many good bands. When I had him on and chatted with him on the podcast, I was saying to him that, there's 2 people in hardcore who I think have just predominantly been in great bands no matter what. Him and, of course, Chris Colohan, which we all know. Yeah. My love of Chris is, deep. The Swarm Parasitic Skies just fucking destroyed me the first time I heard it. Converge. The first time I heard Converge.
Now, what was the first Converge thing you heard though? That
Petitioning the Empty Sky. I think it was someone sold it at the store I was working at. Not the record, it was the CD.
Yeah.
And so I would get first dibs on anything that came in the store. So I cherry picked so much shit. I never had a paycheck. It was how do I pay my car insurance and car payment? Because I just bought. Yeah. It was terrible. My mother just would shit every week because I would come home with more and more stuff. And then when it got into the vinyl, which was a year later, oh, good God. My poor wife. I mean, I'm surrounded with fucking music. This just came in the mail today. This new American Nightmare live at CBGB's, which I haven't heard yet, so I'm amped to check that out. And then probably Thursday was the other one.
Yeah.
Those were the bands that, like, really kind of... And then it just became, like, obsessive. Like, my personality's terrible for that. Like, I'm terrible for, like, just finding the wormhole and never letting myself out. I'll just keep digging until there's no daylight. I'll stay up, you know, I could stay up for, like, back then, I'd stay up for, like, 2 days. Just, like, fucking laser focused on, like, getting something new to hear. And just so, like, into that. So, yeah, those were probably the 5 that really, I mean, the ones that have stuck the longest, I mean, like I said, you and I, Saturday Night's Cab Ride Home is...
Yeah.
Or Saturday's Cab Ride Home is one of my favorites. I mean, I literally traded a first press American Nightmare background music to get that. That's how badly I needed that in my life. So
Now what year was that when you initially?
Shit. They had to change their name to Give Up the Ghost. So I traded 2 records. It was Give Up the Ghost, We're Down to We're Underground on Clear, which I think there was like 100 or 200, and then a first pressing, because I was like, well, fuck it, I got the Give Up the Ghost version of it. So I still have Give Up the Ghost background music, but I gave up the American Nightmare because I had to have that You and I record.
Yeah.
And I still don't, sadly, I don't regret it. Like, that record just means so much to me on a level. It was one of those first ones that really, like, just kind of stuck with me. And the only reason I didn't pick it for the podcast is because Matt had never heard Charles Bronson.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, You and I is something that he'd heard, and I wasn't going to pick something like that. So that's why I went that route. Not that that record isn't equally as good from a different realm, but...
Yeah. But like, what year was that you found?
Oh, geez. Probably 2001, 2002. In that time frame is whenever I got into that stuff. I mean, like, 99 is whenever I was introduced to hardcore, basically. So...
Yeah.
I mean, you know my background a little bit. The one thing that I guess that I kind of leave out is the fact that this is going to be such a, like, people are not going to be happy, but I never got into, like, the Misfits or any of that stuff when I was young. It's not that it's just that, like, the dudes that I skateboarded with were into, like, the Misfits, and they were into, like, the Vandals and Bad Religion, and it was fine, but I just, you know, I don't know. I was resistant to the idea of just, you know, getting involved with all that. I just was like, nah.
Yeah.
I'm not, you know, like, I was more or less, like, listening to a Walkman, like an old Discman, and I was listening to, like, Deftones Adrenaline.
Yeah.
Or something. So I wasn't, like, you know, or I listened to a lot of, like, alt rock, like Sonic Youth and stuff, and then metal. But yeah, so, like, that kind of was, but the 99 was the first time I actually feel like I was introduced by a friend to Minor Threat. And that was, like, the game changer as far as, like, once I heard that, I was like, okay, I got to get anything that sounds similar to this. So then it was, like, Black Flag, Cro-Mags, all that kind of stuff. But then it would just, like, something would come into the store that looked like it would be interesting, and I would just put the headphones on at the end of the shift, listen to it, and if I wanted it, I'd buy it before I'd leave.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it, like, started. And then, of course, once that started, then it was the rabbit hole of reading all the names in there, like, oh, they thanked this band. Who the fuck is this? I need to hear this.
Yeah.
And then tracking it down. So, yeah.
Now, when you first heard Minor Threat, I know a lot of people, when they hear it, they start to go down, like, a straight edge rabbit.
Yeah, I mean, I was straight edge and didn't know it. So, like, it's so weird because, like, where I was from it was just rural. So there was, like, to get to the city of Pittsburgh, it was like an hour and 20 minutes from my house. So we didn't go to the city very often. The closest mall was like 25 minutes. So going to even like a record store, a big chain record store even, wasn't really in the works, right? So like when I wanted music, there was a Kmart that was like 10 minutes from home. And it was like, gotta go to Kmart and get that Sonic Youth Daydream Nation, Nana. Yeah. Okay, my grandmother would be, so in lieu of an allowance, I would just take CDs.
Yeah.
So my grandmother would get a list of CDs that I wanted, and then she would just find something and bring it to me. So my poor grandmother was buying Jane's Addiction and Sonic Youth and, God, Rage Against the Machine. So, I mean, that's how things. But I always loved music. It was just, and I also had just an interest in hating whatever everybody else around me liked.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I mean, that sounds so terrible.
Did you go back to the Misfits though, or are you just like it's just not
No, I never. None of that ever really stuck with me the way that a lot of other things did. I think one of the reasons that, I mean, there's a handful of albums that I think would be. I mean, I listen to so much different music too. So
Yeah.
let's go from that perspective too. That if I was breaking down like a top 25 records, there are probably 5 hardcore records that would fit in the top 25 for me.
Yeah.
Like all time. And of course, Saturday's Cab Ride Home is on there. American Nightmare background music is on there. Converge, Jane Doe, because I think it's just insanely good. Man, Cursed 2 is one of my absolute favorite things that's ever happened in humanity. I know that's not Chris's favorite project, but man,
yeah,
that record is just fucking Reparations
Yeah.
is just a fucking ripper. Yeah, so I mean, like, those were the things that just took a hold of me more. I don't know why, and I don't dislike the Misfits by any stretch. It was just not something that stayed with me as strong as it has a lot of other people. Same with Bad Religion. I have a friend who, like, I grew up with. Like, Bad Religion was his shit, man. So, like, he's still, ride or die, Bad Religion.
yeah. I was never into Bad Religion either.
Just didn't click.
Yeah, Misfits though, Earth AD for me was like the greatest thing they did. I was like super into that album, but on the other hand though, I wasn't really like that amped on any other record besides Earth AD, just because it was their heaviest, like
Right.
punk, like super, almost like in the hardcore vein of Misfits. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's why. I mean, I don't dislike them, but I don't listen to them a lot. And if I do, I go to Earth AD every single time. So
Yeah, no, I feel you.
with your 5 picks that you did that kind of got you in, there's quite an array of difference there. From
Yeah.
Miles Bronson to Converge to you and I. I mean, that's very different. There's a lot of genres there. That's why I'm like, sometimes when we talk, I'm like, oh, did you hear this like metalcore?
Yeah, I was never I never got super into metalcore, like super deep into it. And it's not that I disliked it, it was just that, like, I don't know, my interest in things, I'm a weird guy. Like, I was always a loner. I never had friends at shows. I didn't want to. As mean as that might seem. Like, I was just more in love with the idea of the music. And, I was a big, like, avid reader. I was super shy until I was probably 30. So, like, I was really just backward. And then at 30, I don't know what happened. I was just like, I'm going up to this fucking musician and talking to this guy, and he doesn't have to like me. He can tell me to fuck off, whatever, but I'm going to go. And, like, everybody that I've ever talked to, I mean, not everybody, but 95% of them have been super cool.
Yeah.
Matt Corvett from Piss Jeans was super, super cool whenever I bothered him. He's trying to set up the fucking merch table, and I just go over and just start like, dude, Ultimate Warriors rule! So,
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So yeah, it was an eclectic mix. I think it was just that everything that I listened to, working in a music store too, kind of pushed that. Because for the first year I was there, weirdly enough, it was a used CD store that then ended up becoming like used records as well. But at the beginning it was just CDs, and all we had was radio. So we had Pittsburgh's 2 major radio stations, like for rock, are a classic rock station, and then an alt rock station. And it just made me loathe fucking radio. Like, I could just, every day I just wake up and go, oh, God, I know I'm going to hear fucking Linkin Park 850 times today. And, like, I didn't even hate it as much as it just made me so, like, it was just so oversaturated and annoying after a while that I was like, I can't do this. So I would seek out anything that was kind of different. And if something would click with me, lyrically especially, if it was something that, like, Charles Bronson was more or less for just the sound, and I found them, I found the little skit stuff humorous, and I think it was the first time, because I had listened to a good bit of, like, straightforward hardcore to that point. It was the first time I heard humor in it, so I loved that element of it. I was like, it's kind of, like, jokey, and I dig that, and so...
And on top of that, it's brutal, too, so...
yeah, it is, yeah. And I like the chaos of, like, you know, it's one of the things that I loved about Orchid, you know. And I know later on we're going to talk about, you know, bands from New England. And I have literally for 2 days not, like, practically not slept, beating myself up trying to figure out. Because my initial one was going to be like, I'm just going to blow his socks off and go, you know what? Favorite punk band from that area? Modern Lovers. By the way, not untrue. Fucking love Modern Lovers. But they're not heavy.
True. I know that your first hardcore show that you went to was at the record store, and you saw Vincent Price's Orphan Powered Death Machine.
That is true.
Now, have you ever thought of, like, I know you do tapes on your record, stuff like that. Have you ever reached out and tried to...
Dude, I tried to do a discography for them, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so I got in touch with the individual who ran McCarthyism Records through Evan of Reds, so shout out to Evan for being awesome and helping me there. He got in touch with them and gave them my number, and then I never heard anything from them, so I'm just assuming they're like, probably, I don't know, they're probably my age now, and they're like, fuck, I don't want to be associated, or, you know, whatever. But I wish they did, because I still love that. I mean, I still like their stuff. It was just weird. I just stayed after work. Like, I rarely had the night off because I was the one who was the bouncer. So I was always the one who had to, like, kick people out, which, you know, I hated and loved at the same time. I hated it because, like, I hated being in that realm. But at the same time, I was always polite with everyone. So I'd go over and, like, nicely ask them, like, hey, man, could you please stop, like, you know, banging against the wall? Like, we don't want holes in the wall.
Yeah.
You know, and then they wouldn't. And then I would, like, go over and go, hey, like, one more time and I have to throw you out. I don't want to, but I'm going to have to. And after probably about a month of, like, 2 shows a weekend, the kids really started to respect. We were all in the same age group anyway. Yeah. So they started respecting me, and we all had a good time. And then they put some fucking meathead back there, and the first time he was back there, fucking chaos ensued, and they stopped having shows after, like, 2 years of doing it. So, but yeah, I had been doing that for probably, I don't know, maybe like 6 or 8 months. They had been doing shows whenever they played, and I just happened to be off that night, and I was like, I'm going to go.
Yeah.
And then it was awesome. It was great.
Now, did they play with anybody, like...
Yeah, fuck, I don't remember who they played with.
Yeah.
It was all locals.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, I had friends in this, there was a metal band from out here called Through the Shadows that were pretty good at one point. There's a band called Broken Free from Indiana, Pennsylvania, who were like kind of like a straight edge hardcore band. They were good. They would play a lot there. They were good guys. Man, I'm trying to think of who else. There was just a bunch of, like, there was bands that would change their fucking name from, like, every 2 weeks that were local, you know. So it was like, it was chaotic, but I mean, it was an interesting place. You know, there were some weird tours that came through and played there. Coheed and Cambria played there on the second Stage Turbine Blade tour. This Day Forward played there when their album Transient Effects of Lights on Water or whatever, and they were great. They were awesome live too. That was a good show. I worked that, but I didn't do much working that night. I just kind of hung out.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of a place in Rochester, New Hampshire called Safe and Sound. It was run by a guy and his wife. And back then, though, it was a lot more, I don't know, shows were crazy back then because everybody was moshing. We're talking mid-'90s to, like, later '90s. And it was, like, fights here and there. But for the most part, it was run pretty good. And you'd get kicked out, but he was so nice that he would bring you back in after he'd kick you out. Like,
that's so nice. I would never have done that.
Yeah, almost giving you
once I was angry with the person, then it was full on fuck you. Like, it was just me angry at that point. Like, I'm really hard to get angry, but once I'm angry, I'm, like, just psychotically angry. Like, I'm just like, you know what? You're dead to me. Fuck off. Yeah. And that was sadly my attitude even at like 20.
Yeah, he was almost like giving time out when you were too rough in the mosh pit.
That's funny. I only ever had to physically kick 2 people out, like where I had to drag them out. One was an individual was trying to smash our pop machine, and I asked him nicely to stop and climb down from the pop machine, and he wouldn't. And it was literally like maybe, I don't know, 3rd week we had shows. And I was polite. I was like, hey, man, can you please get down from there? And he was like, I'd like to see you make me. And then that, like, you know, machismo, asshole, like, teenager is because I'm 19,
Yeah.
and he's like probably 17, 18. So I just yanked him down off the pop machine, grabbed his legs, and I literally carried him, not thinking there was a door like 6 feet from me. I carried him through the store, like berating the whole way, like, you fucking jerk, like just being mean as hell. And you know, I regretted it probably 20 years after the fact, but at the time I didn't care.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I was just a mad kid. You know what I mean? Like, I was a mad kid who just didn't take it out on people very much. I took it out more on myself.
Yeah. Like I said, the New Hampshire scene was similar to that. It was fun back then. I had I saw a bunch of cool bands there, which is crazy that an older guy that wasn't really into hardcore and his wife were running that place, but it gave like a bunch of young kids something to do every weekend.
Yeah. Sure.
And for the most part, it was safe. And like I said, I saw a bunch of bands played up there when I was younger. That's the first time I saw Reversal of Man.
Oh, nice.
Ascot there. I saw Haven. I saw Birds there. I saw Disembodied there. Fall Silent. All like the classic hardcore of the mid to late 90s up there. So it was really fun. And plus, like, New Hampshire always had other clubs that were doing things too. I saw Earth Crisis at this place called Cafe Savoy in Manchester, New Hampshire as well. I think, I'm not certain, but Blood for Blood might have played that show, and chaos ensued after that. A lot of shit that went down at that show. So, but
that's funny.
We'll go on. So, can you tell me how you thought of creating your record label, and how did that come about?
Yeah, I mean, I was considering doing something for a really long time, and I went to see a show. It was in a basement. And the band that opened up for the show was called Blast Beat Princess. They were from Pittsburgh. So I ended up like talking to them after the fact and saying, like, you know, I was interested to hold on. The cyclone that is my wife has woken up and is knocking shit over. Bear with me. That got a great look.
Yeah.
Got a great response. She's stoked that I said that.
Yeah.
But no, so I just reached out to them about doing tapes, and I wasn't sure like how many I should do. I didn't know. And I was really inspired by, like, honestly, like, guys like Larry Records and what he was doing, and like Zegma Beach and stuff like that. Like, I was buying stuff from those guys, and so I was like, you know what, tapes aren't that expensive. So I just reached out to him, and then I ended up reaching out to Nathan from No Funeral Records in Canada, and he and Eric from Larry Records were super fucking kind, and like told me everything they did and where they got their stuff. And so that's how it started. I just was like, started throwing money at it, and, you know, kind of one thing led to another, and it's, you know, moving along. You know, sometimes the process is slow because it's one person, and, you know, trying to get everything packed and out is, you know, sometimes a hassle. It's also a hassle when, like, the post office is supposed to pick it up on my porch and doesn't.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Good. Got to go deal with this now.
No.
So, yeah.
What year did you start? Like, how many years have you been doing this?
Just 2.
2 years. And what was your?
Yeah. I'm sorry, you did break up there, Hal.
Oh, what was the first release that you?
It was I did the Blast Beat Princess demo tapes. I actually bought so strange. I got like thick cardstock and hand cut it for cassette size. And then I had their logo made into a stamper, a rubber stamper, and I stamped all of them by hand. So there was a lot of process in that one.
Yeah.
And I learned after that I suck at cutting things. And I was like, fuck, this is terrible. And then I was like, I need something to cut it. So, you know, I've learned since then that you can just get like little things that actually do it for you to get straight lines. Unlike me with scissors, like, yeah, that looks straight. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's like this, and I'm like, that looks good. That's straight. That's good enough. So,
how many releases have you done so far?
I mean, once everything is like squared away and everything, it's gonna be in the 40s. You know, there's stuff that's still kind of being worked out,
Mm.
and other stuff that it's just way out, waiting for pressings and things like that to happen.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I would like to keep doing it as long as possible.
Yeah. So you're still planning on doing this for a while then?
Yeah, I don't have any intentions of quitting. I mean, unless I suddenly die for some reason, and then, unless my son at 11 decides he's going to pick up the torch and roll with it.
Did you ever think about getting into vinyl and stuff like that?
Yeah, no, there's Wow Wow's 7 inches coming out in the hopefully next month and a half or so, maybe 2 months. It's going to depend on the pressing plant,
Yeah.
in all honesty.
Behind schedule with COVID, and I heard pressing vinyl is insane right now. Like, well, everything kind of gets pushed to the back burner for.
Yeah, there was an issue with the place that I've been working with where they had an issue with getting lacquers. That was the big problem. But no, I've put out a few things with other labels, on vinyl. There's been a good bit. I just did the Who Put Bella in the Witch Elm 7-inch singles, which were lathe cut vinyl.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's going to be more vinyl probably than tapes. I think it's just easier in the long term,
Yeah.
because all the tapes I generally do by hand, and I go from a computer to the cassette simply because I feel like every time I've dubbed it from cassette to cassette, the sound quality just degrades,
Mm.
and like, I don't really feel comfortable sending this to somebody. So yeah, that's that.
So, what has been your favorite release for you to put out? Whether it's artwork or just a final product in general. Like, what was your favorite one that you've done?
Yeah. Man, there's a few that I really, really loved. The Reds discography tape with the little booklet
So
where I
good.
had to glue all the pictures. I had to hand glue all these little pictures into this little booklet that I made. It was very time consuming, but it turned out really nice.
Mm.
And Dima and Evan had Will Killingsworth actually like mix the levels of the B side because it was all,
Yeah.
and it turned out sounding just fucking amazing, man. It sounds so good.
Yeah, it does.
Super excited about the Wow Owls 7-inch. I don't know if anybody else has announced it, but Desert Legs, which is Kurt King and Roger King from The Pine. It's like their new project that Kurt sings on, and 12 inches should be coming hopefully early next year. It just depends on how long that. I'm excited for that because I'm actually going to hand make all of the sleeves. So I'm going to be using like purple Mylar and crumbling it around the old sleeves that don't belong to it, and it's going to be time consuming. My
Yeah.
wife is going to be in on that one. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What's your next release right now coming up?
Yeah, probably. There's a split tape. It's myself. I think it's Bitter Heart Records and Tomb Tree. It's a split between Agent Mulder and Bad Acid Trip cassette. I'm not sure when that's going down, but I think that's probably going to be the next one. And then I'm doing tapes for Opheliac, which is like a dark kind of like synthwave trip hop project from Taylor, who is in Burial Etiquette. So I'm going to be working on those tapes probably the rest of the weekend,
Right.
other than when we record on Sunday.
Yeah. Nice. So, speaking of recording on Sunday, I mean, I listen to the podcast every week. I think it's going.
Thanks, man.
And thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
You're coming back, man. You're going to pick out at least 18 new records every time.
Crazy thing is, I had no idea what I was going to pick. I went through an array of fucking everything I could think of. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll pick this. No, I'm going to pick this. No, that's not right. I'll pick this. I wanted Barrett right off the bat. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to. I had something else, that Arabon Radar on my mind. And then, finally I settled down to Millhouse. But thank you for having me on. I
That's a
appreciate
good
it.
pick, man.
It was super fun to be on there with you and Matt.
No, man. I mean, first of all, I was glad to have you on. I mean, you and I had discussed doing this for a while, like together, doing the podcast thing, and it was like, you know, I could tell it was going to become a burden for you just in the tone of the DMs. Like it was like I think I've picked up on your language enough to know like there's an oh shit moment, and I could just tell like so I was like I'm just going to extend this, and you know if you weren't stoked on doing it or you needed to do other things, man, trust me, I get it. You have kids, I have a kid. Your life isn't the same. It's not like you just have time to do everything. So, no, but I was super glad to have you on because obviously I respect you. I think we've made that clear over the many times we've talked to each other. But I also think that you have a good perspective and it's different. Our perspectives are different on a lot of things, and that's one of the reasons that I like doing stuff with you. It's one of the reasons that I like talking with Matt too, because we're on incredibly different courses a lot of times, and I'm good with that. Like I just because I don't like something doesn't mean that I think that someone else shouldn't or shouldn't be interested in it. Like it's just not my cup of tea, right? So like I don't anticipate that every time I go, hey, you should check out this record, somebody's gonna love every record that I send them.
Yeah.
Because everything's different. So I respect that, and I always try to find something about anything that anybody brings on. I always try to find something positive about it, even if it's not something that I love.
Yeah.
I talk a lot less. Anybody who listens knows that, I think. My talking just goes...
I mean, that's the beauty of you and Matt, though, because like
right.
He takes the helm and then take the helm, like whatever your tastes are, you know what I mean? And you guys both seem very, very educated in what these people are bringing to you. You know what I mean? Like you guys really take the time to,
It's funny that you say that because I think the funniest part of it is he and I talk frequently on the phone because, we're always trying to get things together. I don't think either one of us is really that committed, as much as it might come off that way. It's just that we're that fucking nerdy. It's just that we just spent so much time investing in listening to music, and it's one of the things that I respect about him. Like he's the same way. I remember, I forget what album was I sent him, and he was like, "Oh, dude, yeah, I love this record." Right? Yeah, he's there now. Ha ha ha. Because we don't. There's a shit ton of sidebars on that, which is one of the things that I wanted. I didn't want there to be a strict format, simply because I feel like that is it's constricting in a way that you can't really get away from, and I didn't have an interest in that. Yeah. I had more of an interest in the chaos of what I like, which is what I liked when I did these.
Yeah.
I liked the chaos of it when I was in control of it. It was whenever I lost control of it that I was like, okay, time to wrap this one up. Time to call it a day. Oh, 18 minutes? Sounds good.
I mean, like, big shout out to Matt, too, because he's very knowledgeable and he's willing to listen to stuff that he doesn't usually listen to. Although, I'm going to give him a little diss right here. And when you don't listen to the Blood Brothers and Daughters, I mean, that's just...
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that because we were talking last week about the fact that we want to do a live listen on Instagram, and that might be a good one for you to hop on, my friend.
Yes.
And we can just grill Matt every song, make him pause it, and then just grill him on whether he liked it. Matt will be in, I guarantee it. The guy has no fear with that stuff at all, either.
I mean, he's wearing... I saw him on Instagram the other day. He's wearing a City of Caterpillar shirt, but he's never listened to Daughters. I mean, it's just... You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I do. It's funny.
But I love it. Very knowledgeable, and he makes the podcast fun, and you make it fun.
Oh, I think he's better. He's better. I said this about you too. One of the things that I respect about both of you guys is I think you're much better at hosting things than me, because I'm so just set in who I am that it's just hard for me to be any other way, and it's a horrible trait to have. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. Let's move on.
Yeah, but the thing is, you're well spoken. Sometimes I'm fumbling my words. I try, like,
Uh,
shit, I catch myself saying things that don't even make sense in a sentence. I'm like, oh shit, did that even go right? I was like, whatever. But you're well spoken, and it comes out on the podcast, and you know,
Thanks, man.
about like my side of things is just like that. It wasn't the format that I was. Well, I mean, maybe a little bit of the format that I wasn't like amped on. It was more just like you said. I have two kids.
Yeah, well, I knew that it might be a time issue for you, and I wasn't concerned about it anyway. It never. The thing is, I told you from day one when we started talking. Matt's the same way. When I started talking about, like, I respect you guys, like, and I've always been forthright. Like, if I think we all are when we have had conversations, like you and I or Matt and I, about things that we like and don't like. I don't get butthurt over stupid shit either,
Mm.
and I think that's something that is like. I don't want to say that I feel like a lot of people take things very personally, but I try not to take stuff like personally. Like if you don't like something that I listen to, or you have something going on in your life and you need to attend to it, man, I got no issue with that at all. That's totally cool with me.
Yeah,
So I really don't want to stress my friends out. So people that I like, I'm not looking to stress them out. If I
yeah,
don't like them, that's a different story. I'm okay with stressing them out.
yeah. Like I said, I mean, I think it was just so much on my table at the time, and then I just like I didn't want to be like not a burden, but like I didn't
Yeah,
want take away from the podcast in any
yeah,
form at all. Like I didn't want it
right,
percent or no percent. You know what I mean?
dude.
So
It was never an issue. I remember you being worried about it though, and I was like,
like
"Man, you should know me better than for
I hate
to
letting
think
friends down and stuff
you
like that.
didn't."
Letting
Yo, you didn't let me down.
explaining, the things that were going on and stuff like that. Me doing the live thing, um, like I said, I don't read from a computer. Like I do,
Yeah,
I do
neither do I.
I do I do my homework like beforehand, and obviously I'm a fan of the people that I talk to before I even
Of
talk.
course.
So I have a good background on them, anyways. You know what I mean?
Right. No, for sure.
It's just I do my homework and then work, kids, and like I said, I don't have to
Yeah,
explain anything, but I'm just like, uh, you're such a good friend to me that it's just like,
yeah.
that's
No, it's
I
mutual respect, man.
I wanted the bromance to live on. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, but again, like I'm not hard to get along with.
no,
I mean, despite how it comes across, I think sometimes the way I portray, like, I'm really not hard to get along with. I'm just very like, I'm in my own head all the time with what I think, and like I try not to shit on anybody's like feelings, especially about music, because I've had people who've sent me stuff, and they're like, "Oh, hey, would you take a listen to this?" And like even bands, and I feel bad being like, this isn't for me,
mm,
but at the same time, I also don't want to lie and be like, yeah, let's do this, and then feel really bad about it later,
yeah, yeah.
right? So I just avoid that.
I'm sure I've sent you many a band that you're like, yeah,
No, I'll be honest. I mean, both you and Matt, I think both pretty much know where my headspace is, so I haven't had too much of that. I mean, there's like that Barrett was one that there were parts of it that I thought were awesome. Like I'd never heard them,
yeah,
and so when I listened to it, I was like, man, there are parts of this that are really strong. And then there were parts of it where I was like, holy shit, I can't get into this. And it's just like that, but I can always try and find the thing about it that I like,
mm,
even if like I've dedicated myself to listening to something 3 times before just outright dismissing it, no matter what it is. Like, so anytime somebody gives me something, I'll listen to it at least 3 times before I'm like, okay, this is definitely not something I'm super interested in. And I usually am pretty good at judging the first time I hear it,
mm,
but there are things that become a grower,
yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, when I was first getting into hardcore and punk, I was strictly it was it was either hardcore punk or hip hop, and I fucking hated classic rock. My mother was a
yeah,
hippie.
I don't like I'm not a big classic rock
Like
person either,
my
to
mother was,
be fair.
and what like my upbringing wasn't the greatest, so it was almost like a rebelling
Same.
like that genre of music because it was a shitty environment. So like if it every classic rock stuff that I heard, I fucking hated. And then now that I'm older, and obviously, when you're at work, you're hearing music. Like
You're also removed from the situation too, right? So all the trauma is now gone from it.
yeah.
You're like, oh, the Who isn't as bad as I thought they were.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like Pink Floyd, I used to fucking hate Pink Floyd.
I still hate Pink Floyd, but go on.
Just because of the drug innuendo, just like all the
Right on.
and people tripping out listening to that music and stuff like that. I hated it back then, but now that I listen to it in my late 40s, I'm like, shit, this music is like I can get with this. You know what I mean? It's so
Man, hats off.
Not that
I can't.
Not that I put a Pink Floyd record on, but I can appreciate it now. Like,
Yeah, sure.
And like you said,
I mean,
it grows on you.
I think when I was younger, like the influences I had around me, I mean, I can openly admit, like when I was really young, like a little kid, I had a friend who, he was super into MC Hammer. So the first tape that I ever bought with my own money was Hammer Don't Hurt 'Em. But then I lived with my grandparents growing up. My grandparents raised me, my dad's parents raised me. And they were great people, but they loved country music. So for a while, I was really into that because that's all I knew. That, Neil Diamond, the Beach Boys, and Simon and Garfunkel. That was it. That was all I had exposure to, like Garth Brooks and that. So when my stepdad comes into my life, that's when things take a real turn for the crazy. Because this dude's into like Slayer and Metallica and Pantera, and like he's just into that, like Sabbath. I remember he bought me my first CD ever, and it was Black Sabbath. We sold our soul for rock and roll. He got it for me for Christmas, which I think if you're going to get somebody a CD for Christmas, it should be a Black Sabbath CD. It just feels like a good Christmas CD. So, yeah. So, I mean, it took me a long time to kind of like find my own identity. And I had an uncle who was really into Pink Floyd, and we'd listen to it all the time. And I didn't hate it when I was younger. I grew, as I got older, I just got out of all that. Like, I mean, like, I love the Kinks and stuff. Like, there's stuff that I like that's classic rock, but just few and far between.
Yeah.
And it's not that I even outwardly dislike it as much as, like, it's just such a big thing here. Like, it's just where I'm from, it's, like, the hugest thing is like, classic rock. So I think there's just that, again, that resistance of, like, I'm not going to take this on. I have to just keep that rebelliousness going.
It's the same in New Hampshire. I think AC/DC is in every town. Car blasting, you know what I mean? Not that.
Yeah. You shook me all night long. You're like, okay, I've heard this fucking 8,000 times. Can you stop?
Well, that's with like I couldn't stand Led Zeppelin either because I heard Whole Lot of Love about a million times. I'm like, so if I want to hear a Zeppelin song, it's going to be like a deep track that nobody listens to because, like, Stairway to Heaven. Like, no, for me, no. So, plus it was the last song on every high school dance when I was.
Oh, nice.
That's how old I am. So.
Well, no. I mean, I wasn't commenting on your age. I mean, I think probably the last song. I mean, which let's be real. I wasn't going to a lot of dances. I'm going to be honest with you, Hal. I wasn't much of a dancer. I was more of the guy who would stand in the back bitching that I had to be there for some reason. Like, oh, God, why am I at this? I'm not even enjoying any of this. Which, goes back to my horrible personality. But this is not an exaggeration. Probably a majority of my high school life was me just hanging out in my room and reading. Like, that was listening to music constantly and reading. I attempted to paint very poorly, so I gave that up really quick because I was horrible at it. And I would just look at the stuff I did and be like, this is just terrible. I'm just wasting time at this point.
Like, speaking on that, did you ever want to be in a band? Did you ever try to be in a band?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there was a couple of times I did vocals for a couple of things. Like, God, when I was working at the music store, there was a kid I became really good friends with, and we were trying to put together like a Glassjaw-esque worship and tribute era style of thing, and did not last long. I think we had 4 practices, and everybody other than him and I just kind of didn't get along. So it was just not, I was the hard part of that was too, like, because I liked so much different stuff, and being that I was straight edge, I was kind of in a weird place because a lot of the stuff that I listened to wasn't always straight edge hardcore.
Yeah.
So it was like I was like an outsider trying to fit into a scene that I didn't really fit into either, which was fine because I didn't talk to anybody anyway, because I just stood against the wall and watched most of the time.
Yeah.
So,
Was there recordings of that band at all?
No. It was three practices and an implosion at one of them. Just like, and it wasn't me imploding as much as the dude who I was friends with that played guitar and the drummer just literally just throwing fucking shots at each other about how bad the other one was. And yeah, that was the only time I attempted. A lot of it just had to do with the fact that I was super backward and shy, and I'm still awkward in a lot of ways. Like, I've grown out of it a good bit, but not to the point where it's to the point where I'm like an extrovert at all.
Yeah.
But then I was like, where can I hide here and just enjoy the show? I don't want kicked in the face. I don't want to mosh right now, like, especially probably till I saw Converge on the You Fail Me tour. I think I stayed out of mosh pits pretty much all the time. And then I don't know what it was. When they came on that tour, I just was like, nope, I'm going in this, and never stopped after that.
Yeah.
It's weird,
Yeah.
that was what it was.
Mosh pits, and then kind of got out as I got older and started to get into more screamier things. I think just like, I'm a bit older than you, and it was just the sign of the times back. Like, you get old and shit. I felt like I played a full game of varsity football after I got out of a mosh pit. I'd go to work and I couldn't walk for like 3 days. They're like, "What the hell's wrong with you?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm just so sore." Like, every muscle was like sore. My neck was sore. Like, everything was sore. And I was like, it was fun while it lasted, and I did it for a long, long time. But like I said, once I found the screamier, emotional, like, hardcore, and I saw people just rocking out, or like you saw the, I'm sure you've seen like the people that spaz out instead of, like, they're not hitting, they're just like, like freaking out in the front, which that's like I give all those people props for doing that, because when I first saw it, I was like, what was that? Like,
get a wallet in his mouth.
Holy shit. Like, I love it. I love watching it. I love people like expressing their emotions like that. It's like amazing. And so when I saw that kind of shit, it was like I was drawn to that. I say it a lot. I saw Seisha, and it kind of changed my mind about, mosh. Not. I wasn't like, all right, I'm not moshing anymore. But it was just like, holy shit, these kids are cool, and like it's different, and they're not punching each other in the head and doing spin kicks, in their head. So I'm always gonna be a hardcore, straight up hardcore kid.
Sorry, now my child is dancing for me. I like the dance. You want to get on camera and dance, bud?
No.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
Yeah, well, you tried.
I gave my best effort of, you should just jump on here, but no interest. I think he's getting a Kool-Aid. Is what's going on, because I'm in the dining room, which is attached to my kitchen. So he is getting a Kool-Aid.
Apple.
No, an apples.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a midday snack at 8:19 p.m.
Not as good as the combo you told me you had before the stock.
Oh yeah. Well, so we can discuss that if you'd like. I had a Chobani cold brew coffee with sugar-free Italian sweet cream, and I've been nursing a can of A&W zero sugar root beer the entire time. The coffee was to try to stay awake, because I woke up ultra early and went to work early, and then the root beer is just because I like it.
Yeah.
So
that's why I had to ask if you were gonna make a bad dash.
Run for the bathroom?
Yeah.
No. I'm good. I told you I prepared.
Sweet. So far, the record of the year in your mind? Or,
Ooh. Yeah, man, there's a few that I think are really, really solid.
give me like
Um,
3 that are your solid 3 of this year.
sure. I really like the new hundreds of AU. I think that's gonna be a fucking just that one's gonna be stuck for a while in my head. I really like that. I've listened to that quite a bit. Um, there is a band called Softy, who it's Nate from what's Nathan from Karloff and No Funeral. He has a band. It's very Youth Attack Records sounding.
Oh, no kidding.
And yeah, I'm way into that. That one's a big one. And then man, boy, it's tough. There's so many things that have come out that I've really liked. The For Your Health record was really good. Um, I'm excited for the new Snag record when it comes out. I already pre-ordered that, so excited for that to come out. But yeah, there's a ton of stuff, man. I could go on forever. You broke up, man.
Oh, when does the Snag record come out?
You know what? I don't know. I don't keep track of dates. I'm terrible for that. I think July.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Matt's right. Closer was a good record as well. That was a big one.
Yeah.
He and I have talked about that quite a bit.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. That one, man.
ridiculous.
That one is just so freaking good. I went to work 15 minutes early so that I could get on Bandcamp and order it so I could get the Bandcamp version of the vinyl. So I'm standing just like refreshing like a madman waiting for it to come up.
It's crazy how Tom has just kept going. He's like beast.
Man.
He's like a beast. It's like a machine that just keeps putting out amazing records. Like,
Yeah, no.
it doesn't matter how old he gets, it's still fucking amazing. Like, it's crazy to me.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling.
That's what I said. Him and Chris Colahan just need to start a band together at this point for me.
Yeah.
Just for me. I don't care who else is interested. It's a really selfish thing, but I want that for me. I mean, both of them have been in bands that I just love. Like,
yeah,
legit. Like, I have a stack of tapes literally right in front of me right now of stuff that I like have been listening to recently, and it's just like, yeah, like it's crazy. Like, I have the other hundreds of AU with tape, you know. Got that. Obrea Sky, which I really love.
Yeah.
I think they're great. Huge fan. But yeah, man, I have stuff just stacked. New Forms.
Oh, New Forms. Justin.
Underrated as fuck, this band.
I can't wait to hear the new vocals.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Excited.
Yeah.
And Justin's a great guy.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I was talking to him earlier.
Like, I'm like, I gotta get you on. And he's like, yeah, definitely. But we haven't hashed it out yet, like time-wise, because like you with your podcast, you book so far ahead, and I don't like to do it too far ahead because then, you know, either somebody forgets about it or I start forgetting about it. So I write down everything that I have scheduled, and he's definitely on the list to get on and talk to me.
No, he was a great guest. He's a great guy. I've talked to him through, you know, like text many times. I genuinely like him. He's a great dude. The band, that tape is just crazy good.
Yeah. It is good.
Hi, Amy.
It's funny. I first met him. John from Bravo fucking Bravo had a basement show in Hampstead, New Hampshire, and it was Great Redneck Hope. And I had a sweatshirt on that had a Page 99 patch, and that's the first time I met Justin, because Justin was like, "Hey man, like, oh, you got a big patch," and then we started talking, and then like, you know, I got into a band that played a couple shows with Alessa when he was in Alessa, and so we played you know, a few shows together and stuff like that. So that's how I met Justin, and obviously from my area. So
yeah, hey Corey, how are you? You got to come on the podcast too, buddy.
I'm actually going to talk to Amy and Corey.
Well, that's nice.
Chopping it up.
You're doing them both at the same time.
Yeah.
We didn't have that kind of fucking foresight. Again, no homework done. I just like the band.
Yeah, I do too.
So
that'll be in June, you know, probably later June. But what do you think of my talk this Sunday coming up? I know you're excited of hardcore is going to be talking.
Yeah. No, I'm super amped. The funny part is I'm talking to him at 10 a.m. for the podcast.
Oh, you are? Nice.
So we're both talking to him the same day.
he's going to be a busy guy then on
10 a.m., man. 10 a.m.
You're doing that today? 10 a.m. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how the dates ended up being that way, but he was like, yeah, he's like, it's cool. And then he sent me a message. He's like, oh yeah, I just confirmed with your friend too. So he's like, I'll be on that one as well. So.
Oh, no kidding. I didn't know that. Oh, you should have told me. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. Don't worry. I'll be on and saying random stuff in the comments.
So I don't want to keep you too long. So I'm gonna do my rapid fire on you, like I always do with everybody else.
Sure.
Hope you're ready. Oh, so wait a second. I want to show you what I've been listening to lately.
Sure, man.
Beta.
Nice.
Obviously. 100.
Yeah, we talked about that one.
Always.
Yeah.
Great.
Nice.
What else? Oh.
Oh yeah, that's a great album.
And one more. Spirit of Versailles discography.
Discography is great. Yeah.
That's good stuff right there.
Yeah, Larry Records is putting out a Spirit of Versailles record coming up soon.
Oh yeah, that's
a re-release of the vinyl. I'm super stoked for that, man.
Right. I mean, they're almost like the new age level playing. Putting out,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many, like, I don't know how to describe it. There's just so many labels that do great work. Like, you know, I'm glad to know a lot of them. Like, even if it's just like through talking here and there about things. You know, Illuminate My Heart does a lot of good stuff too. Matt's a good dude. You know, Matt, who I'm doing the podcast with, and I are going to be putting some stuff out coming up too. He's calling his label Can't Draw to Save, I believe. Yeah, I mean, Larry and I have put out so much shit together. It's crazy. So
shout out to Cliff Parade too.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, Levi's a good dude.
Levi is a great dude, and I'm for that label and what he's putting out, and I can't wait for the future and see what he's got cooking up. All right, well, here we go. You know the first question. Right. You've heard it a million times before. Favorite New England punk hardcore band?
Yeah, okay. So, man, this is the most horrible question I've had to answer in my life because I'm terrible at those kind of decisions. Because the obvious choices are to go with, like, there's big ones, like Converge, Drop Dead, Daughters, right? And then there's, like, more modern choices, Amitié, Amnesiac, you know, Dreamwell. Man, I could go, but Sinaloa is another one that, like, always crosses my mind. I love those guys. But I was really beating myself up about it because I'm like, man, like, I've heard people bring up different bands and everything, and one band that I don't feel like gets mentioned enough in general and is one that I love is Bucket Full of Tea. That band,
great band,
was fucking killer and just doesn't seem to get in the conversation enough. So this is my chance to say, hey, Seth from Repeater, let's get together and make a Bucket Full of Teeth discography vinyl. Let's do that together.
That would be amazing.
I would love to do that, man. I love that band. Yeah, so probably, even though it's maybe not, you know, but I just don't think they get enough attention. They were awesome.
Yeah, I agree.
And Brad and Will, they're awesome in everything they do.
Yeah. AJ too. He's
a
great guy too. I love
him.
Yeah. Like I said, you know, blessed enough to see them the 6 times that they played live.
This was on the turntable because I was trying to listen to things and get myself, like, prepped for this. So, yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
All right, number 2. But I already know this, so I'll ask, but you can just say it real quick because we just already earlier. What was the first punk hardcore show you attended?
Yeah, I saw Vincent Price's Orphan Power Death Machine at the CD Warehouse in Greensburg, Pennsylvania.
And that's a damn good first show, if I might say.
It was just because I was off. I mean, I didn't know who they were. I hadn't heard them, and then I was just like, this is awesome. I'm totally into it.
Yeah, that's crazy. And like I said, mine was SSD and DYS and Angry Samoans, and then
Awesome.
it's funny. After that, it was a bunch of thrash metal bands that I saw.
Nice.
Like so weird. I saw Creator at the Channel in Boston.
That's interesting.
I saw Flotsam and Jetsam when Jason Newsted was in Flotsam.
Was in the band.
Yeah. I saw Death Angel. A bunch of crazy thrash metal bands, and then all of a sudden it turned into straight up hardcore. But I digress, so I'll keep going. I can't ask this one because my third question is always all-time favorite punk hardcore show you played, and we know.
Yeah, I'll just make it up.
I'll go on. I'll go on. I have more questions. I got a mixed bag to throw at you. Watch out.
I'm good, man.
All-time favorite punk hardcore show. Give me 3.
Sure. I saw Transistor with nobody else other than like some locals. And after the show, well, during the show, before the show, whatever the fuck, I talked to Nat and Brad, and I was just discussing with them how I had went with a friend's band. They were a shoegaze band, and just sold merch for them on this mini tour. Like I went with them for like 8 days and sold their merch. And they had their merch guy quit, so they were trying to convince me to quit my job and go on the road with them. And that was just fun in and of itself because it's just a great story to have. And I remember telling them, I can't, I just bought a house. And I was like 23 and I just bought a house. And I remember the convincing that Nat tried to do was, oh man, like we have a cot that you can sleep on. Does your house have a cot? We also have like a Nintendo 64 or whatever. Like he remembered it after we started talking.
He was trying to butter your bread right there. That's for sure.
It was really funny, dude. It was really funny. So that was just a great show. They were fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Power Chord Academy just gets stuck in my head now at times. I'll just be going through my day, and that's just banging in my ears. Converge, Some Girls, Modern Life is War at the Lawrenceville Moose was just an absolutely insane and great show. Man, there's so many that I could run through too. That's what's terrible. I'll tell you what, I'm gonna pick one that is gonna be unconventional. Let's go with that. I saw the band Ice Age from Denmark play at a place called like 6112 Penn or 6221 Penn. And it was like on a 3rd floor. They didn't play till like 2 o'clock in the morning, which I wasn't expecting. All the other bands had played like 3 hours earlier. They played at 2 in the morning, and they were fucking insanely good.
Yeah.
It was one of the craziest and most fun shows. They were really nice afterwards. They were great to chat with. Yeah, that was just an unconventional one that wasn't maybe like a straightforward. It's more of a post-punk band.
Yeah.
But I saw them a couple years prior at the Pitchfork Festival, and they were good. But seeing them by themselves, and they had like a screen behind them, they were running images on. It was wild. They were great. I've seen Thursday so many times. Yeah, I've seen Thursday so many times, but Thursday at the Crowbar at State College with Every Time I Die, Rival Schools, and One Line Drawing was a phenomenal show, especially because Every Time I Die had just released Hot Damn, and a lot of people hadn't heard the whole thing yet, and there is the part in Floater where it's got the fake out ending and then a breakdown, and the people who knew it just destroyed everyone else. So it was a good time.
Nice.
Good time.
Love it. I don't usually ask this question, but all-time favorite Pittsburgh hardcore punk band for you?
Sure. That's another one.
Yeah, I got to throw that out there.
What's that?
I said, since you're from that area, I got to throw that out there at you.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's tough, man. Because I'll level with you. Like, their Pittsburgh scene wasn't something that I stayed real true to. I could give you my favorite Pennsylvania band. Fucking Vince. Oh, man. Hey, buddy, how are you?
That's tough to follow up right there.
That distracted the shit out of me. Yeah, if I had to pick a favorite like band, I'll just go with Pennsylvania because I would say Shin Guard locally. I love those guys. I thought 2020 was a fucking insanely good album. Um, but if I had to pick and just pick it from the state, Piss Jeans is always going to be my go-to.
Yeah.
I love that band. I love their sound. I love just how kind of grimy it gets at times, and they're interesting and fun live. They're always funny, entertaining as hell. So, yeah, probably Piss Jeans. If I had to go back into the time machine, it would be Ultimate Warriors. But
Yeah. I think mine. I think mine might be Creation is Crucifixion. Probably.
it's a good choice if you're picking local.
That's my all-time Pittsburgh favorite band. I love that band so much. And, I'm trying. I'm like, trying to get Nathan on to talk with me. I haven't reached
Nice.
it yet, but I think it's gonna happen. So I love that band, and I got to see him a couple times up in New Hampshire, which was great. So,
Nice.
were you a Creation fan or?
Yeah, I didn't have the again, like local stuff I had less of an attachment to, which is really weird. But I think again there was just a resistance. Like I didn't want to fit into the scene, as weird as that sounds. I was just comfortable being by myself. So it was like the distance from all of that was okay with me. So yeah, I never had issues with it. I liked some of their stuff. There were a few bands that I liked some of the stuff from. I'm trying to think of like names off the top of my head from years ago. Teddy Duchamp's Army. I like those guys. They were fun. I saw them open up for My Chemical Romance and Hopes Fall in a 3-car garage in Natrona Heights,
Whoa, jeez.
which was, yeah, it was called The Planet of the Apes. AJ, who runs Preserving, I think was Preserving Hardcore. I forget what he's changed it to now.
Yeah.
But he runs this record store in Pittsburgh now. He's a good dude. He was the one putting on the shows. He also put on another show that had a really interesting lineup. It was Love is Red, Instill, Scraps and Heart Attacks, Drain This Blood, and Hawthorne Heights.
Jesus, wow.
Because Hawthorne Heights just needed a show. Like they were just trying to find a show in Pittsburgh, so he threw them on the bill.
Wow. Okay.
So it was a really strange dynamic.
That show?
What's that?
Did you go to that show?
Oh yeah, no, yeah. The Hawthorne Heights slept on my couch.
Oh,
that
no
night.
kidding. Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Now Zayo's from Pittsburgh, aren't they? Or around?
They're from Greensburg area. Yeah. No. There's a couple dudes in Zayo that are really good dudes. Dan, I mean, from years ago when I worked at the music store, he would come in. He was a really good dude. Trying to think of who else. Russ was always a good dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were always solid guys when they would come in.
Yeah.
Another band from like locally, like Greensburg, Juliana Theory is from
Oh, no.
Greensburg as well.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, so they both had played at the music store as well.
Now, have you heard the new Zayo album? And if you,
I have not listened to it yet, but I intend to.
yeah, I
always like them.
I was expecting. I mean, I hate to sound like an asshole here, but I was expecting something different than what I heard. I mean, it's still
Sure.
pummeling and brutal music, but it was just,
Right.
I don't know. I go more towards the older stuff, so I don't know. It doesn't hit like it used to for me. That's just my opinion.
I understand. There's a lot of stuff that does that for me whenever,
Yeah.
as I've grown older, there's certain things that I really liked when I was younger, and I'm like, I don't know how I listened to this when I was younger.
Yeah. So I think their younger stuff and their catalog, it's more. So,
How I've switched to water now, too.
I know my friends like the new album, so I've listened to it a couple times, and it's decent. Whatever.
Yeah, I haven't checked it out. I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't realize there was one until the other day. I saw something online, and I was like, oh, I'll have to listen to it. I just haven't found the time, especially this week. We're recording 2 episodes again this Sunday.
Oh, nice.
So we're listening to 2 records. One I don't have to listen to, Glassjaw Worship and Tribute, because I've listened to that nonstop.
Yeah.
And the other one I haven't listened to in so long, and it's such a good record that I'm like, wow, when I was listening to it, I'm like, shit, I forgot how good this is.
Yeah, which is
So
back. That's what I mean. That's the beauty of your podcast is, I've listened to all of the episodes that you guys have done, and it's not that I love every album, but after I
sure.
after I listen to it, I always go to Spotify and try to find them. Like, oh, I'm gonna see what this is all about. You know what I mean? And that's
Yeah.
purpose, guys. I almost want to be like an advertising guy for you guys, because literally you only post once. You're like, hey, this is on. There you go. If you want to listen to it.
Listen, I've said we do the least amount of work possible. No, listen, we intend to do some more stuff. We have some stuff in the works that we're gonna do some live stuff on Instagram. We're gonna do some more stuff too. It's just, the difficulty of it is I'm trying. I mean, I do the IG for us too.
Yeah.
So I do the Gene Scene Creamers. I do that. On top of that, I'm working full time. I'm dadding full time. So like trying to find time, and then also trying not to be. I don't know. I hate oversaturating myself in that way. Like, as weird as that might seem, like, because I'm always on something or doing something stupid, so like it shouldn't. But that's less about me and more about the stuff that I'm putting out. Like, it doesn't have to be about me. It's one of the reasons I stopped doing the Instagram lives too. Was I hated seeing my face on camera.
Well, we know you don't.
And the podcast is like.
Well, we know you don't like when you're all alone before the guest comes on. It would be.
Or at all. If there was a way, yeah, okay. So there was a piece of tape. That was masking tape for anybody who was curious as to what that was. That was masking tape. Yeah, yeah.
Well, you don't ramble on like I do. And how's everybody doing? It's
No, but you have a nice little gimmick going, man. I like that. You bring some real flavor. Mine was just like, oh fuck, what am I gonna say? I don't want to think about what I'm gonna say. I don't think about what I'm gonna say on the podcast.
Yeah.
I literally, the only thing I've given any thought to in the last several weeks is what record from New England is going to be my pick for my favorite thing. That was it. Like, everything else is just like, I'll skate by. I'm smart enough to just keep the flow going.
Yeah.
That's my goal with a lot of it. And that was my goal on here. Like, when I first started doing it, Tom Schlatter was so fucking kind to do. He was the first person I ever talked to.
Yeah.
And I genuinely love his work. So it was so easy. I didn't have to look anything up.
Yeah.
I had 2 notes down, and it was just to remind me of the years that some things came out. Otherwise, I knew. And so, getting to have that conversation was a big deal. I had lost my job. I was, bummed out. I was bored from being locked down. And, so that's why I started doing that. Like, it was sheerly out of boredom.
Yeah.
It was like I was going stir crazy. I needed human interaction. And I was like, you know what? What's the worst that somebody tells me no? They're not interested?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, I got a fair amount of no's for not wanting to do it.
Yeah.
But the people who I knew that were, Tom, I didn't know at all.
Yeah.
I had no interaction with him other than, hey, man, I'm going to do this Instagram Live thing. Would you be down to do it?
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah. Now, like, Chris Colahan and I talk to him regularly and, tell him how great of a person I think he is and how much his music and him as a person. Like, getting to hang out with him in Pittsburgh right before, we were locked down 3 days after the sex show.
Yeah.
So getting to hang out and chat with him was like a big deal to me. Like, I never got to see him at all in any band prior because I always worked.
Yeah.
And particularly like when my wife and I first had our son, she stayed home for 4 years and I worked all the overtime humanly possible to make sure that we were good. And, and I worked weird hours. And so, getting that opportunity, and I just reached out to him randomly one time and was like, hey man, like, I really like what you do. I really appreciate your work. And we just started talking and so it was great. And he's been nothing but kind and, so respect to him.
Really fun when I talked to him as well. Just a great guy.
Yeah, he is.
And I think because you talked to him, it made me want to talk to him. Like, not like we're
no.
competition, but I'm like, oh, I'm not.
There's no competitive bone in my body on that end, buddy.
But you spurred me. Like I said, with these IG Live things, I give credit to you and all Eric from Microspy. Like, you guys were doing it almost not simultaneously, but almost. You know what I mean? Like, he was podcast, and you were doing your live thing, and I was like this is amazing. I love the talks, and I love hearing about the scene and stuff like that. And
me being an old schooler, I wanted to, like I said on the podcast, I wanted to talk to younger people that are in the scene, that are in new bands, and I wanted to talk to the legends of the stuff that we're listening to.
Sure.
And some legends that not everybody. I'll talk to like the crazy hardcore mosh guys. You know what I mean? Because that's
Sure.
true to my heart. You know what I mean? Still.
Yeah, of course.
So that's why I try to mix it up, and I don't have notes like you do either. I just do my homework beforehand, and I listen to that music all the time. So it's not like I'm actually thinking of questions in my head while we're
right, which is where you and I have talked about this, which is where I struggled more than you do. You're very good at putting together a question. My thing would be I asked a question, and I'm hoping that they're going to give me something that I can ask another question.
Yeah.
And then when they wouldn't, it would just be like, okay, I'm just going to ask whatever the fuck comes into my head, and then if this doesn't go well, this ends.
Yeah. That's
I was bad for that.
It's almost like a lot of people. It's almost like shooting the shit with a good friend. I don't want it to be uncomfortable. I know anxiety.
Sure.
But it hit me in the beginning when I first started doing these talks.
I remember the first one you were having trouble, and you were sending me messages through DM like, "This isn't working. What's going on with this?" There was some connection issue.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was. Yeah, so I get it. I mean, my first one was Tom.
Yeah.
And I never met him, and it was just somebody that was a hero to me in the sense that I think that he's just been in so many good bands that mean stuff to me personally, and so that opportunity was great. But at the same time, I was shitting my pants on the other side of that, going, "I'm gonna fuck this up so hard."
That's the beauty of being these talks going organically. You know what I mean? Like me and you just shooting the shit and just be with everybody. Whether we go on like the sidebars that you and Matt go on your podcast.
Oh God, that's all we do.
Or the sidebars that I go on my hardcore with Hal Capone. I always love to just like flow organically and speak whatever comes to my
mind.
Although sometimes I get dumbfounded and I get a question in my head and then I lose track of my thought and I'm like, I forgot what I was going to ask you, and I look like.
My problem with the podcast, the only problem I have is because you're not visually seeing somebody, it's hard to know when to interject.
Yeah.
So sometimes you step on somebody, and I have a tendency for that, which I hate. It makes me upset with myself at the end. I'm always like, God, if I'd have just shut up for a half a second longer, man. Like, they could have said whatever they had to say. And they always finish, but it's just always an embarrassing thing to be the person. Like, they're the guest, and I'm this asshole who's just like, hey, how about I talk over you? I'm a nobody.
Well, it happens. I mean, especially now in IG Live, you can have 4 people on at the same time.
Yeah, we're gonna get real fucking awkward whenever we start doing those.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I've had like me, well, a couple times. So.
Yeah, you had both of the guys from Anton Boardman on, right?
Yep, and then I had Nick and Matt from Makara.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Which was really fun for me. I love those 2 bands. Well, actually, all the bands that those guys have been. So that was super fun. I loved it, and I want to keep doing it. I'd love to try 4 people at the all.
Dude, that'd be so funny.
I mean, I think it'd be chaos.
It will be a clusterfuck beyond belief. That's a 4-card pileup that you're just gonna have to sit back and enjoy watching the show.
Yeah, because you can't. But with a 4-car pileup, you can't look away. You got to keep.
No. Yeah, totally. That's fair.
All right. Well, I'm gonna keep going with it.
Whatever. I'm not going anywhere, dude.
I'm a huge movie guy. You know it. I talk about movies.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Whatever movies. But what was the last movie you watched?
Okay, so the last movie I actually sat down and watched was not a movie. I watched like that 6-part documentary series on HBO Max about QAnon.
Oh yes, I know what you're talking.
Which was I mean, it was whatever.
No, what?
It was all right.
Though, not documentary, movie.
Okay, let me think. Best in Show.
Best in Show, nice.
Christopher Guest, Best in Show. I watched that a lot.
I think the documentary I watched on HBO Max was the Action Park from New Jersey. Have you seen that documentary about how?
No.
how fucked up it was that the guy that ran that just made rides however he wanted to and didn't get any regulations, and people were dying. And
Whoa, no, I gotta watch that.
HBO Max, it's called Action Park. It's well worth.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, it's well worth it.
Now, if you're talking about a more modern movie, Nobody with Bob Odenkirk, I watched.
You watched that?
Yeah, I loved it. I love Bob Odenkirk, though. So to be fair, there's a skew bias on my part because I love Mr. Show, and he is always going to be Bob Odenkirk from Mr. Show to me.
Yeah, nice.
So
I haven't watched it yet, but it's definitely on my list of things to watch.
I enjoyed it. I mean, I thought it was funnier. I mean, there's some action in it, don't get me wrong. There's some really violent parts. Keep the kids away from the TV. I can tell you that much. But at the same time, it's hard to not laugh because it's Bob fucking Odenkirk. So, Riz is in it as well. That's right.
Oh, no kidding.
Matt.
Nice.
Thanks, Matt.
I'm a big horror movie guy, too. Favorite all-time horror movie for you?
Yeah, this was a difficult one because I knew that this was coming, and I don't watch a lot of horror movies. I am much more like a comedy and documentary, much more comedy.
Yeah,
preferably stand up, or sketch, but probably The Shining if you want to consider it a horror movie.
Yeah.
I mean that one still makes me laugh even though it shouldn't. It's still a comedy to me. To me, it's still funny for some reason. I mean, when he's going up the steps and she's, swinging the bat at him, that's still, to me, one of the funniest things ever.
It's a great scene. I love that scene.
It's a great movie. I mean, I enjoyed it. But, yeah, I don't know what else I've watched that would be considered like a horror movie,
Yeah.
So I don't want to lie about it and be like, yeah, I love whatever, because I don't. So I'm not going to lie about that.
Kids movies because of your son? Do
I watch kids movies?
You get
No.
kids movies? No.
No. Okay, so here's the great thing about my kid. First of all, one of the things that's awesome is he loves Ben 10. So anybody who knows what Ben 10 is, that is his shit. Has been since he's 3. Loves Ben 10. It's the one thing that he just clings to since he's been a little kid. So I don't mind watching that with him.
Yeah.
Because at least it's interesting and it's entertaining and it doesn't But very rarely does he actually ask me to sit and watch it. Him and my wife are more in control of the television, and I'm usually watching something on my iPad with headphones or listening to music. 90% of the time it's listening to music.
Yeah.
So, I have earbuds in or headphones on, or the record player's playing and them going, turn it down, I'm watching something on TV. So just a lot of that shit. But, he doesn't get to occasionally.
Yeah.
He asked me to watch this new Ben 10 thing that was on a few weeks back with him, so we sat and watched those. It was fine.
Nice. Yeah. No. No.
He's gonna be 12 in August, man. Yeah.
Funny. My daughter will be 12 in September, right in the beginning of September.
Nice. It's crazy, isn't it?
She's at the age though now in my family where she wants to be left alone. Like hanging out with dad's not cool anymore. You know what I mean? So it's
No. Yeah, I mean he's like that to a degree. He's a big gamer.
Mm.
So he's got this thanks to my mother-in-law, he's got this sweet ass gaming computer. So he's in his room a lot playing with that. This summer he wants to learn how to animate. He wants to start drawing to learn how to animate. So we're looking into what we want to purchase for him for his computer to get him going on that.
Nice.
So yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, if that's what he's into, man, I'm supportive of that. He's a good kid. Never gives me problems.
Yeah.
We go skateboarding occasionally. Lately he's not as interested. He likes to get on a scooter now and scoot around the park,
Yeah.
And here I am busting my ass on a skateboard.
Yeah, skateboarding was never my thing. Falling on concrete is not something.
It's a good time.
Yeah.
You're missing out.
Yeah, no.
Now's the best time to get going, man. Jump on it.
Yeah, when my bones are more brittle. Nah, I'm good.
Yeah, it's the best time, I'm telling you. I fell the first day we got decks. So he got this, it was called a morph board for his birthday from my mother-in-law. And he got on first try, just sailed it, man. It's a skateboard, scooter, it could be a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
He just sailed it on the skateboard, and he's like, I think I'd like a real skateboard. And I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I skated when I was young, So then he was like, but I can't do it myself. so I need you to skateboard with me, Dad. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll do it. That's fine. So I wasn't, hesitant. I thought I'd be able to get right back on. No. I got on, and then got cocky is what happened.
Yeah.
I got arrogant. I was like, no, this is going real well. So I'm like, I'll go switch. So we're at this basketball court because it's super flat.
Yeah.
I go switch. I'm feeling good. Next thing I know, I hit this little pebble and go back. And there's literally road rash from like up here to the tip of my pinky. Blood all over my arm. He's fucking freaked out, screaming. So, good times.
Yeah.
Good times.
I'm missing out definitely on that.
Yeah, you totally did, man. It's best time to fall is as 40 plus, I heard.
Yes. Yes. Like I always ask, I'm a big hip hop guy. If you're a big ODB fan,
I am a big ODB fan. That's fair.
Any hip hop you've been listening to, what is it? And, either it be new stuff or old stuff. Have you been listening?
Sure. I have listened to that last Run the Jewels. I think it's 4, right? I've listened to that quite a bit. That was a pretty good record. I have Run the Jewels, just the first Run the Jewels on vinyl.
Yeah.
I was in some like vinyl club, and that was one of the records that got sent to me. And but I actually saw them at Pitchfork years ago before they were Run the Jewels. Like anything had come out.
Oh, kidding.
LP and Killer Mike were there performing separately, and then did a set together.
Oh, no kidding.
And it was super cool. I like Heems. I don't know if you've ever heard Heems.
Yeah.
I like Heems. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm a fan of Heems. So yeah, I mean that I've listened to. That's probably the extent. I listen to Wu-Tang.
Yeah.
Semi-frequently because I still like the Wu-Tang,
Nice.
But old Wu-Tang,
Yes.
like 36 Chambers and Forever.
Yep. I agree.
But I've seen some hip hop though too. To be fair, I went to the Up in Smoke tour.
Oh yes.
So I saw Dre, Snoop, Eminem, Ice Cube, Mobb Deep was in Pittsburgh with them, Nate Dogg, Warren G. I also saw Red and Meth and DMX at a Family Values tour.
Oh, no kidding.
Which was, this girl I was dating in high school wanted to go, so we went.
I went to the same show in Worcester, Massachusetts, that same tour.
Yeah. Oh, I can't say enough about how bad Stained and Limp Bizkit are. And I loved them when I was young. So what's that say about me as a person? I need a lot of therapy.
Do you ever delve back into the old Limp Bizkit?
No, never. None of that stuff really. Deftones, I still listen to their new stuff when they put it out. They were my favorite of all of them.
Yeah.
I saw them twice, which was cool. The weirdest one was I saw them open, I think it was 95. They opened for Pantera and White Zombie. And the reason I was there is my stepdad liked Pantera.
Yeah.
And by the way, Pantera was fucking amazing live.
Yeah.
I will not take away from how good they were.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, I mean, shit on their music, whatever, but they were great live.
Now, were you a thrash metal fan at all back in the day?
I love Slayer. I mean, I got into that a little bit, but not really. I mean, like, it was weird because, again, like, where I grew up, I was the oldest of all the kids, too.
Yeah.
Like, my grandparents have, like, 14 grandchildren. I'm the oldest one.
Yeah.
And so it was weird. I didn't have anybody going, here, take this and listen. I didn't have anybody cool around that was helping me out. So anything I found was, like, kind of on my own. And no, I don't think I got too. I mean, like I said, Slayer was probably it.
Yeah.
But I got way into, like, 120 minutes was a big deal.
Definitely.
When that was on, and Headbangers Ball. So those kind of things were the ones that, like, I would watch those and, like, listen to stuff. But the ones that kind of stuck with me were, like, pretty typical. Smashing Pumpkins, Sonic Youth, Nirvana. Never was a big Foo Fighters fan.
No.
I'm sure that's going to shock a lot of people who have listened to the podcast.
No, I think I saw that Gish turned 30 years old today.
Damn, dude, that probably is true. I think that was 91.
I think that I saw that on Instagram today, that 30 years ago, Gish came out today.
The only thing I have from them, I do have Siamese Dream on, like, gatefold double, and it's on, like, Dreamsicle orange vinyl.
Hidden.
So that's that's it. And now I have, like, Nirvana Bleach, which shouldn't shock anybody.
Simon B is maybe in my top 10 of all time records.
Yeah, it's a really great record.
How good that record is. On top of Nirvana, I was never really a big Nirvana fan. I think I was like too old when that hit. You know what I mean? I wasn't.
Yeah.
The grunge thing never really hit me because I was older and I was into whatever I was into at that time. So I know Nirvana was a lot. It bridged the gap between a lot of hardcore kids and screamo, listening to Nirvana and kind of put them on the right path.
Yeah, I mean, I liked some of their stuff. I thought their Unplugged set that they did was excellent. I have that on record too. But those are the only two things I have from them. I have a good bit of Mudhoney records. I was more a fan of that. Dinosaur Jr.
Yeah.
Much more in my realm. But Sonic Youth, of all that stuff, Sonic Youth was my favorite.
Yeah, me too, definitely.
I mean, like that band, and Sebadoh was another one I really liked. I got to see them a few years back. It was a really good time. So, but like I'm a big indie rock guy too. So that's the other thing. Like I have so much stuff.
Yeah.
My house is just cluttered with records and tapes and
yeah.
I've started buying CDs again, which God, what is wrong with me? But
on a Discogs dive.
No. There's been a couple things that have come out recently that were on CD, and I was like, son of a bitch. All right. My wife is going to be like, really, CDs now too? We need these too? Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't have any vinyl left. That's what I've been rocking is CDs or streaming. But I'm trying to get the CDs that I used to have that I sold back because I just miss, streaming's not the same to me. I'm an old guy, like looking at the booklet and reading the lyrics and stuff like that.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons I still love vinyl. It's like I love to just like, it's so stupid, but I love to just sit on the floor and like just look through like anything that comes with it, the artwork, the lyrics, whatever, So like I recently bought a reissue of American Analog set. Know by Heart is the title. And I just sit on the floor. That's a great like Sunday afternoon, just sit on the floor and hang out and listen to it. So
yeah.
Do that. And then there's times where I just want to like, drive everybody crazy, and it's like, all right, Left 4 Dead. Put that on.
I don't want to keep it too long, so I want to thank you for this. I appreciate it. You are a true friend of mine. I really
absolutely
a ton to me. You know what I mean? I feel like any problems I have, I can always come to you for advice or whatever. Like you're just a fucking stand-up dude, man. And
thanks, man.
Sometimes I bother you with some of my problems. I know, but
I'm into it.
I'm just happy you're here for me, and you've been a great friend. And anybody that doesn't know you, I think, should follow what you're doing and listen to the podcast. And you're just a great thing. And I think everybody that doesn't know you should follow you and definitely, get to know you because you're.
I appreciate you saying that, man. I just, I think we started talking when I did the chat. Like you and Matt both were probably the first two people who like reached out to me right afterwards and were like, "That was awesome, keep doing that." And I was like, I don't know, I wasn't intending to really keep doing it initially, And then once like I got, there were probably 8 to 10 people who were really nice and said kind words, and I was like, yeah, okay, I could do that again. And then I did a couple more, and then it just became like a thing. And then it just started to become like my anxiety about getting on and then having to deal with like just not getting to do what I am accustomed to. Like I'm not good at scripting something, if that makes sense. Like I'm much better off the cuff.
Yeah.
So like if I'm scripting something out, or I'm like you were talking about people just like, who read from a sheet and do a lot of that. Like I don't do that because number one, if I like the music, I like it enough that we can have a conversation about the music.
Yeah.
If not, then it's a situation in which, it's probably going to go bad. And I'm okay with that. I was okay with it turning into a train wreck, if that makes sense. But I also had a lot of people who would get on and support it. So, like you were on every week, and I greatly appreciate that, man. Like, our respect for one another runs deep, and that's never going to change. Like I've said a million times, like I got your back no matter what the circumstances are. If I got to drive to New Hampshire, my car's got good gas mileage.
I appreciate it. Is there anything you'd like to plug, whether it be the label or, you know, any surprises you got up your, you know?
I mean, no, I don't think there's
anything crazy. I mean, just if you wanted to plug anything.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think there's anything specifically. I would say that, you know, anybody who's interested to listen to me ramble on like I did here, podcast is probably a good place to hear that. You know, we've been fortunate enough to have some people who, super cool guests coming up too. You know, thank you for getting us in touch with Jay Green. That was a big one for me. I was super excited to talk to him. You know, but yeah, we got some bigger things planned with that. We're planning to do some like Instagram live stuff. Probably do, seriously, not joking, do like a live Blood Brothers listen.
Yeah.
So if you're down to jump on and be on that with me, man,
Yeah,
I would like to get at least 4 of us so that we can really make it just a round robin of chaos.
I mean, can we give Matt a little ribbing? Like, just a little ribbing, you know?
Oh, he takes it like a champ. Listen, he just said, and Matt, I don't know if you're still here listening to this, but buddy, I appreciate so much that you have let me call you the pretty part of the podcast for 3 solid weeks and not gotten mad. I stopped last week because I felt like I was going too far, but I just love that he would say, I like the pretty parts.
Yeah.
And he said it a couple of times in episodes, so then I just started referring to him as the pretty part of the podcast. So no, he is, that's the it's you know, he's great about everything. He's a great guy. I am so glad that I got to talk to you guys in general and become friends with both of you. You've been both solid to me and greatly appreciate it. Matt and you have become 2 of my best friends. I sincerely would do anything for either of you guys. Like, just, you know, everybody who gets to listen to the podcast, Matt is so much better at being a host than I am, despite the fact that he doesn't consider that to be true. I've listened to the episodes, okay? I know where the bread's buttered. I'm more just cold and to the point. Matt is very nice in his voice. He's got a nice tone. Mine's just like, let's just get this shit done. Let's get in and let's get out.
Well, that's why.
And I enjoy it. That's the funny part.
That's why I was saying, you know, I'll help with marketing because literally you guys post once and then that's it. And I feel like that's why I pushed the Hulk Hogan thing on you guys. Like,
oh, dude, I thought that was fucking hysterical, by the way. We both thought that was what I sent it to Matt afterwards, and he's like, yeah, Hal actually sent that to me too. And I was like, so funny, man. Yeah, that's a great theme, you know. I do have new stickers coming out for the label with Mean Gene Okerlund, which I'll probably end up with, like, you know, a cease and desist order at some point.
Yes.
The estate of Mean Gene.
I'm gonna do a shameless plug. I'll be back on Sunday at 6 p.m. On that, and you will be talking to him beforehand. So,
but you totally did not get any of that out, buddy. You broke up the entire time.
Oh, I did? Oh, shit.
Yeah. Nothing of what you were trying to plug came out as a plug.
Am I back on now, regular?
You're good now. You're solid.
I was saying I was going to do a shameless plug about my Sunday talk. Sunday, I'm talking with Chris Colahan at 6 p.m. Eastern on Chopping It Up Hardcore with Hal Capone. I'm stoked. You know, you have the greatest words to say about that guy, and I can't wait to talk to you. Super, super excited about it. All his bands were amazing to me as well. He's another machine that just doesn't stop. He gets older.
Yeah.
Music just gets fucking crazier. Yeah, I love that last Sect album. I think
it's so good.
It's so good.
It is.
Even when Left 4 Dead like got back together in that 2013 release, holy shit, dude! Like that stuff blew me away. He just, like I said, age doesn't catch up with him, you know.
It doesn't. And the thing that I think is funny is, you know, I think maybe this comes from when I was younger. Like, you know, the same thing applied to Jacob Bannon. I've spoken to him briefly twice after shows. I think that there's like this thought in your head, like they're just gonna be like, I don't want to say don't mean or just like, they're gonna have like a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah.
And Jacob Bannon was super nice. He was nice to chat with, and is really nice, just a nice guy. Like, you can't say anything negative. It was really cool. But Chris is the same way, but in a whole other light. Like, he's just sincerely such a nice person. Despite, like, you hear the lyrics and you hear like the misanthropy of what he puts out. He's a genuinely kind person and such a good dude, and like that's why I speak so highly of him. Like, I've got to meet him, I've got to become like, friendly with him, like at least on an acquaintance level, and like genuinely respect him. And it's much the same as, like I said, with you and Matt. Like, it's a similar type of thing. Like, you guys are great guys, and when you have a group of people around you who are supportive and kind that way, I always try to be supportive of those people too. And even the ones who aren't always super cool and nice about things, I try to be as upbeat as possible. As upbeat as I get about it. But yeah, you're going to have a good time, man. He is, just make sure, just shit tons of Leonard Cohen questions.
Yes.
Ask him about the Leonard Cohen tattoo.
I'm sure that sidebar will be going pretty far with you guys talking about.
It could. That's not what we're talking about, though. And it's not, the thing is, he's going to be the first guest for our second season.
Nice.
So we're recording it, really early. It's not going to air until quite a ways away.
Yeah.
But, just trying to nail down everybody's schedules. And I mean, you know how that is. You do it in a little bit shorter term than I do.
Yeah.
I mean, we're basically, we've got a couple days open in August, and we're almost booked into September.
Yeah.
For the second season. But that's just because it's so much easier for me to have it ready to go. And so far, unlike on here, nobody has canceled. On here, it was a lot of cancellations or somebody just not showing up. And, I'd get on and awkwardly be sitting there and no one's on. And I'm like frantically from my phone, like, because I use my iPad. I'm frantically like, what is going, are you, like, and then I'm panicked and I'm like, shit. Everybody's going to stare at the blank tape for however long now. Just hear me knocking shit over and breathing heavy and muttering to myself under my breath like an incoherent curmudgeon.
Yeah, I'm like at the end of June right now, so
Dude, but that's great.
I don't book out too far because, like,
you said, you have Amy and Corey on together too.
Yes.
That's awesome. She was fantastic on the podcast. She was great. She was one of the best guests we had. I mean, not that anybody was bad. To be fair, we haven't really had anybody that like felt like we were pulling teeth like sometimes on the chats.
Well,
so like,
I think her pick was great too because I love the body, and I think
it was a good pick. Yeah,
it definitely interests me when I heard her pick. I was like, oh shit, I definitely got to listen to this one.
Yeah, it was, and it was, like I said, it was an easy discussion. She was super cool the whole time, so there was no issues there either, which was great.
Yeah. So yeah. And I hope you have a great night. I'm sure I'll be pestering you later on with DM about all kinds of weird shit that I always conjure.
Dude, you act like it's an issue. Like,
no,
I'm not doing anything anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I'll probably get a bite to eat, and then, like I said, I'll probably watch some basketball. And
yeah, speaking of basketball, before we go, because you are a big basketball fan, how is everything going with the playoffs? Because I don't follow it at all, to be fair.
How it's going? Yeah, I mean, I'm a Celtics fan, so it's
I know that
horribly wrong. But being a Celtics fan, I love seeing the Knicks win that game the other night. They've been so shitty for so long, and seeing the fans in Madison Square Garden, there was tons of fans there, and the atmosphere was just electric there. It was insane, the atmosphere there. It was great to see the Knicks win, a playoff game, and I hope they win that series because it's just exciting to see. I feel for a team that was so shitty for so long, and now, they had a great season and they were fun to watch. So, I mean, I don't want to see the Lakers win, honestly, so I hope somebody in the West can knock them out. But now that Chris Paul's hurt in Phoenix, I don't know. We'll see. But
Yeah, I wish I knew more about it.
Yeah,
I really am not knowledgeable at all.
yeah.
You know, no, I'm a hockey guy,
Yeah,
so
catching hockey here and there. I saw Corey Perry got into a little trouble the other night.
barely. I think that was a bear. You know, I mean, let's be real. It didn't look intentional.
Oh, it definitely was.
Yeah,
I mean, that was
but
definitely not intentional. He tried to hop over him. You know?
it's ironic that you say that because I have a Corey jersey literally sitting over on my chair, and I was wearing it at that moment. Not a joke.
Really, no kidding.
Yeah, I was talking to PQ from Cell Press. We were actually FaceTiming in between periods that night because he's a big Canadiens fan as well, being that they're from Montreal. And none of the, most people in the scene are not into sports.
Yeah.
And, so, that's one of our big bonding things is we both love the Canadiens. So he and I were FaceTiming and chatting about the game, and we were talking about that whole situation, and it was like, man, that was brutal to see
Yeah.
live.
Yeah.
But getting that overtime win last night with a really, really great play from a rookie, taking a puck and getting a 2-on-0 and then, being selfless and passing it. I mean, he could have scored that goal, in my opinion, if he wanted, and still gave it up. So, happy to see it go back to Montreal with fans in the stadium finally.
Now, you said you were going to Pittsburgh Islanders game.
We did. Yeah, we went on Monday, man. Yeah, I missed the Canadiens game to go to that. Which I just
Penguins fan, so how did that end up going?
What's that?
I said I know you're a big Penguins fan, so how did that end up going?
Well, let's be honest. I mean, I don't hate them. It's not like I just don't root for them when they play Montreal. I'm fine with them winning as long as they're not playing Montreal.
Yeah.
When they're playing Montreal, I'm in my jersey at the game if I'm going.
Yeah.
So it's a completely different thing. And I've been hassled about that since I've been 4 years old.
Yeah.
Because that's when I started going to games, and I just stuck with the colors. It's so stupid, but
yeah,
it's honest.
Yeah.
So that's why I love them and still do, and probably will forever. But no, it was awesome. The seats were incredible. I'll send you a picture of where we were sitting. We were I think 22 rows from the ice surface, and it was on an angle, so you could literally look up center ice, and we were by a goal, so we got to see some good action, some good hits and stuff, and Max got to eat some nachos.
Nice.
So that was a good time.
Yeah.
I'm always stadium nachos.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, you can't go wrong. You
can't. Not at all.
But
no, it was fun.
For some reason, hot dogs like at a stadium are really good too.
They're way better. They're just way better for some reason. Everything's better at the stadium. It's $18 more than you pay anywhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
And for some reason, always.
You want a water for $10? All right.
Yeah, no, it was funny because they have everything in the arena right now. You don't actually go in order. They just put it up and you take it as they, whatever you want, right? So, and then you just put it on a scale that weighs it. And my son wanted this giant, the water was I bet 50 ounces. So every 18 seconds, he's like, I gotta go to the bathroom. And it's colder down on that area too. So, but no, it was a good time, and it was a fun experience. He and I got to spend the time together. I'm always happy to do that. We don't have a lot of time with schoolwork and stuff like that. I'm interested, once he's done with school, get to hang out a little bit more. But no, I'm glad that you get to watch the basketball stuff. So the Celtics are out? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
It's not looking good for them. I mean, they're playing right now. I'll probably catch the end of the.
I'm totally ruining it for you, is what you're saying.
But they're playing.
You're like, no, not at all. You're not. Please keep talking, asshole. I'm not watching this.
Like I said, thank you so much for talking with me.
Dude, anytime.
And definitely, I appreciate it. Everything you do for me, and if you like I said, if you need any help with the podcast, in the back scenes, I'll do whatever. I always try to push it on my storylines as much as I can, just to word of mouth always.
Surprisingly, the following is better than I thought it would be for us just starting it and not doing much. I think we have according to what I'm seeing, our metric is at about 35 people, which is way better than I anticipated because we don't do anything.
Like I said, you put
So,
that.
and you know what? I mean, like we've done well. I'm not against it, but yeah, no, man, for sure. I appreciate it. I appreciate you all the time. Like, we text occasionally. I mean, you're welcome to text me anytime. Never feel like you have to DM me, because half the time, if I'm doing something else, I'm not on here.
Yeah. Well,
So, but
late at night, and I don't want you being like, you're like sleeping next to your wife, and I'm like, hey,
well,
have you heard?
my wife won't be here sleeping. I can assure you that she works nights.
Oh, all right.
So it'll just be me. It'll just be me looking at my phone, bleary-eyed, and I don't go to bed early by any stretch.
Sweet.
I'm usually, even once my son's asleep, I'm usually like looking at my phone for the next 2 hours watching TV, or,
Yeah.
hanging out until he's sound asleep, But yeah, shockingly, he hasn't come back for any more food. I thought for sure he'd come back and like
Kool-Aid.
run through like that Noid from like the Domino's commercials, rooting through food in here.
My kids are probably chomping at the bit because I'm like, stay off the Wi-Fi so my shit doesn't fuck up. And they're probably like looking at their.
I never tell him that. That's a good idea. I never tell him that. I'm always like, he's probably upstairs gaming right now, I bet.
Well, you've been coming in perfect. So
That's because my wife literally, I mean, just wonderful person. We've been married 14 years as of Thursday or Wednesday. My apologies, Wednesday. 14 years was our anniversary, and she's put up with so much of our nonsense. My child and I we're similar in a lot of ways, so there's a lot to deal with. But I remember her coming home after him complaining about lag on the internet, and her going, I don't care what it costs every month. We're getting the highest speed internet humanly possible. So that's her.
All right, man. I'm gonna jump and catch that Celtics. I'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely.
Like I said, thank you for jumping on with me. Definitely, let's do it again sometime soon.
Yeah, no, anytime, buddy. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And you ever need anything, you know where I'm at.
Definitely. All right, man.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
Okay. All right, love you, buddy. Take it easy.